The pivot quotient. Why building forward beats bouncing back. Good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored to stand before you today. Recently, I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Constantine Alleyne, a visionary thought leader who has fundamentally transformed how we understand resilience, particularly for Black professionals and entrepreneurs. Constantine isn't just another consultant with a catchy framework. She's a revolutionary force who has walked through fire herself, pivoting from Wall Street to corrections to aerospace, all while developing systems that have helped thousands reclaim their power during life's most challenging moments. Her groundbreaking work on what she calls the pivot quotient has created ripples of change across communities, empowering countless individuals to rewrite their stories of adversity into narratives of intentional growth. Her insights aren't just theoretical, they're practical frameworks that have helped build generational wealth and sustainable success in communities that have historically been marginalized. What I'm about to share with you comes directly from my conversation with Constantine, whose wisdom challenges everything we think we know about bouncing back from setbacks. Yeah, we've all heard it before. When life knocks you down, just bounce back. Resilience means returning to who you were before the crisis hit. Get back on the horse, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on. But what if everything we've been taught about resilience is fundamentally flawed? What if bouncing back is actually holding us back? This is the counterintuitive truth that Constantine Alleyne's work reveals. True resilience isn't about bouncing back to who you were, it's about building forward into who you're becoming. Think about that for a moment. The very metaphor we use, bouncing back, suggests returning to a previous state. But why would we want to return to the exact same position that was vulnerable to disruption in the first place? When a building collapses in an earthquake, we don't rebuild it exactly the same way. We redesign it with better foundations, stronger materials, improved architecture. We build it to withstand the next earthquake. We build it forward. Yet in our personal and professional lives, we cling to this myth that success means returning to our pre crisis state. This is especially true for Black professionals and entrepreneurs who face unique systemic challenges. Constantine's research shows that this bounce back mentality can actually trap us in cycles of survival rather than evolution. Let me share three profound insights from Constantine that completely reframe how we should think about resilience. First, resilience isn't about bouncing back, it's about building forward. Second, grit can trap you. Alignment matters more than endurance. And third, systems beat motivation. Identity based routines create lasting resilience. Let's explore each of these, starting with the fundamental shift from bouncing back to building forward. When we experience setbacks, our instinct is to try to recover what was lost. We want our old job back, our previous income level, our former status. But Constantine argues that this backward looking approach misses the opportunity hidden within every crisis, the opportunity to evolve. Consider the remarkable story of Morgan DeBon, founder of Blavity Inc. DeBon didn't try to bounce back to her comfortable Silicon Valley tech career when she recognized the lack of authentic Black voices in mainstream media. Instead, she built forward, creating a media company specifically designed to empower Black millennials through digital content and events. In its early days, Blavity faced significant challenges: limited access to capital and skepticism from investors unfamiliar with this target audience. The conventional resilience approach might have been to adapt Blavity to fit existing investor expectations, to bounce back to familiar business models. But DeBound did something different. She built forward by focusing intensely on community driven content and leveraging social media to build a loyal following. She sought out Black angel investors who understood her vision. She created new pathways rather than trying to force her way through old ones. The result? Blavity grew into a multi platform media powerhouse, hosting major events like Afrotech and reaching millions monthly. DeBond secured millions in funding, launched multiple successful brands, and became a leading voice for Black innovation. More importantly, Blavity's model inspired a wave of Black owned digital startups, proving that building forward with identity at the center creates lasting impact. This brings us to Constantine's second insight: grit can trap you, alignment matters more than endurance. We live in a culture that celebrates grit, persistence, never giving up. Winners never quit, we're told. But Constantine challenges this simplistic view. Sometimes, she argues, the most resilient move is to strategically quit or pivot, freeing up energy to build something that truly fits who you are now. Persistence without alignment to your evolving identity can keep you stuck in the wrong story. You might be gritting your teeth and pushing through, but in a direction that no longer serves who you're becoming. This insight is powerfully illustrated in the work of life and legacy counselor with Black entrepreneurs. Many Black owned businesses struggle with succession planning and risk losing hard earned gains due to lack of preparation. The conventional approach might have been to simply push harder to endure whatever challenges arose. Instead, life and legacy counselors helped these business owners align their work with their deeper purpose and identity. They provided estate planning, leadership training, and accountability structures that helped owners see themselves not just as operators of businesses, but as architects of legacies. By focusing on alignment rather than mere endurance, these entrepreneurs preserved wealth, mentored future leaders, and established systems for sustainable growth. They facilitated successful generational transfers, increased community employment, and strengthened local economies. This wasn't about bouncing back from challenges. It wasn't even about gritting their teeth and pushing through. It was about aligning their actions with their evolving identities as legacy builders and community anchors. Which brings us to Constantine's third insight: systems beat motivation. Identity based routines create lasting resilience. You don't rise to your affirmations, Constantine told me, you fall to your systems. This is perhaps her most practical insight. Sustainable change doesn't come from positive thinking alone. It comes from identity driven habits and practical frameworks that support your growth even when motivation fades. Constantine's pivot trademark framework exemplifies this systems based approach to resilience. Rather than relying on bursts of inspiration or motivation, it installs mechanisms that support consistent growth and adaptation. We see this systems based approach beautifully illustrated in how Black entrepreneurs use networking, mentorship, and community engagement to build resilience in business. These entrepreneurs faced historical barriers to capital, limited access to mainstream networks, and increased stress during economic downturns. Rather than relying solely on individual motivation or grit, they created systems, leveraging low interest loans, grants, transparent communication via social media, and strong professional relationships to create supportive business ecosystems. The results speak for themselves: increased sales, expanded partnerships, and growth of community based loyalty programs. Many entrepreneurs pivoted from traditional business models to collaborative, community first approaches during the pandemic. They foster generational wealth, improve mental health through self care practices, and build robust networks that outlast individual setbacks. These weren't just motivated individuals pushing through challenges, they were system builders, creating structures that supported their communities through any crisis. Now, you might be wondering, how do these insights apply to my life? How do I start building forward instead of just bouncing back? Constantine offers a powerful daily practice. Before tomorrow noon, stand in front of your mirror and ask, who do I choose to be today? And what is one move that proves it? This simple question shifts your focus from recovering what was lost to creating what could be. It moves you from survival mode to building mode. It transforms resilience from a reactive stance to a proactive one. Let me be clear about what this means in practical terms. When you face a setback, whether it's losing a job, facing discrimination, experiencing a business failure, or confronting a personal crisis, the question isn't, how do I get back to normal? The question becomes, who am I becoming through this experience? And how do I build toward that? This shift is particularly powerful for Black women who, as Constantine notes, have often been expected to be strong for everyone else. The strong Black woman trope has created a culture where bouncing back means resuming responsibilities for others without addressing one's own evolution. Building forward, by contrast, means intentionally designing a life that honors your growth and prioritizes your well being. For the high achieving professionals Constantine works with, this often means learning to be soft in a world that taught them survival. It means letting go of hustle as identity, learning to say no without guilt, setting boundaries without apology, resting without explanation, and embracing healing and emotional honesty. This isn't weakness, it's strategic evolution. It's not giving up, it's building forward. What makes Constantine's approach so revolutionary is that it reframes resilience not as a return to normalcy, but as an intentional evolution. It's not about how quickly you can resume your previous life, it's about how thoughtfully you can design your next chapter. The implications of this shift are profound. When we stop trying to bounce back and start building forward, we free ourselves from the limitations of our past. We open ourselves to possibilities we couldn't have imagined before the crisis hit. We transform setbacks from obstacles to opportunities for reinvention. I want to leave you with a challenge today, one that might feel uncomfortable, but has the power to transform your relationship with adversity forever. For the next 30 days, ban the phrase bounce back from your vocabulary. Every time you face a setback, instead of asking, how do I recover? Ask yourself, what am I being called to build now? Write down one identity you're ready to evolve into, not return to, and identify the systems that will support that evolution, even when motivation fades. Share this commitment with someone who will hold you accountable. Because here's the truth: the world doesn't need more people who can endure pain, it needs more people who can transform it into purpose. Your resilience isn't measured by how quickly you can return to normal, but by how boldly you can create a new normal that serves who you're becoming. Your next chapter isn't written by your past, It's authored by your pivots, and that next chapter begins today. Thank you.